Hey guys, I wanted to quickly share about a cool way you can support the show. Travel content creating and podcasting is so fun. But as you travel lovers know, traveling can get expensive. While I may receive trades from time to time, the flights, the behind the scenes hours filming, editing, recording, and sharing are often unseen and unpaid. There is this super cool website called buymeacoffee.com that was created specifically as a way to support creators like me. Buying Me a Coffee is a quick and simple way to show your support for the Trip Tales podcast. And Lord knows this busy Mama 3 could use a coffee to keep me recording and sharing, and maybe help with the grocery bill as well. I'll also give a special shout out by name to anyone who buys me a coffee in the following week's episode. So if you love Trip Tales, I'll put the link in the show notes, or you can get there by visiting buymeacoffee.com/Kelsey Graves. Thank you for considering supporting the show. Welcome to the Trip Tales podcast with me, Kelsey Graves. Let's jump into a new episode exploring a vacation destination that you'll want all the details about. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 16 of Trip Tales. I'm so excited about today's episode because we are talking about a sailing on the Disney Wish cruise ship, which is one of Disney's newest ships. But first, I have to thank last week's buymeacoffee.com supporter. A huge thank you to Nicole Corey, who was actually my first podcast guest on episode 1, where she shared all about staying at the oceanfront Hilton property on Marco Island in Florida. So give episode 1 a listen if you haven't already. She bought me a coffee and wrote, "Going to be tuning in to this Costa Rica one." Thank you, Nicole, for supporting Trip Tales. I hope you enjoyed last week's Costa Rica episode. I also want to remind you about the 2 amazing discount codes I currently have live for you. First, my absolute favorite line of travel bags, Dagny Dover, is giving you guys 20% off full price items. These neoprene bags are gorgeous, comes with tons of pockets, helping you stay organized and look good doing it. I'm currently obsessed with the Dakota backpack in size large and the Landon Weekender in size extra large. There is a link in the show notes, and use code Kelsey20 for 20% off your full price order. But this code only lasts through June, so act fast to travel in style. Next up, I can't stop talking about my Spanx jumpsuit for traveling or for a one and done date night look. It's the perfect piece to go from day to night or from an airplane to a resort, not to mention it feels like actual butter and is the most luxurious fabric I've ever put on my body. Again, there is a link in the show notes, and use code KGravesXSpanx for 10% off plus free shipping. Okay, let's go cruising. Today, we are joined by my guest, Jessica, who is a fellow podcaster. Welcome, Jessica.
Thanks for having me, Kelsey. So excited to be here.
I start every episode with a rapid fire get to know you. So tell everyone where you live, about your family, and what you do.
We live outside of Raleigh, North Carolina, in Franklinton. Fun fact.
Oh, fun, because I live in Franklin, Tennessee, but you live in Franklinton, North Carolina.
Yeah, we are actually closer to the Virginia border than we are to downtown Raleigh at this point. We just keep moving further and further out. I am a mom of 2. We have a 6-year-old and a 4.5-year-old. Happily married to my husband, who's a financial planner, and we have a financial literacy podcast called the Sugar Daddy Podcast. So it's a fun his and hers take on financial literacy. We love to travel. It's where we spend the most of our money. And I work in tech for a Fortune 100 company full time.
Awesome. Yeah, y'all need to tune into the Sugar Daddy podcast so that we can all get our money in order so that we can travel more.
That's exactly the plan. We always joke, like, the ultimate goal is just to get all of our friends to Bora Bora on a whim. Like, hey, you want to go to Bora Bora in 2 weeks? And the answer is yes for everybody. So everybody needs to level up their money so we can do that.
That's a great goal.
Yeah.
We'll link the Sugar Daddy podcast in the show notes so y'all can check it out. On episode 9 of Trip Tales, we did a show called Everything You Need to Know About Disney Cruises, which was more of an overview on taking a Disney cruise in general, but not ship specific. It was helpful for someone like me who had never been on a Disney cruise. I love Disney World. We've been a handful of times, but we're not like a once a year or multi times a year Disney family. So I didn't know anything about cruises. So episode 9 was helpful for me. And I recommend listening to that one if you need an overview of the Disney cruise line. Was this your first Disney cruise?
Yeah, so we went in March of 2024, and it was our first Disney cruise. It was also my my husband's first time cruising ever. So that was a whole nother thing. And I, even though my children, we've traveled, I do still consider them COVID babies. Like my son was born in October and then the world shut down in March. And so we got their passports and all of that, but like weren't really able to use them. So the cruise was their first time flying anywhere and cruising anywhere and going international. So it felt like a big trip for us.
I love that. What made you decide on booking a Disney cruise for your family?
So the year prior, so 2023, we were looking into doing Disney World. And honestly, it just started feeling way too overwhelming. And I'll be honest, I like really nice accommodations. So I am past the stage of like just making it work. Like, no, I want to stay in a nice place. I want to eat good meals. And even I always joke that when we are with our kids, it's a trip and not a vacation.
100%.
And I lean into that really heavy. And I'm like, okay, but if you're spending this kind of money, I need it to feel more on the vacation side than on the trip side. It just started getting out of hand. And so I was like, you know what? We're not going to spend 10 plus $1,000 on Disney World. I also feel like my kids are still in that stage of like, they don't want to walk long distances. And I'm not going to spend that kind of money to have my kids just complain. And so it turned into something that felt more stressful than joyful. And so we pivoted and I was like, I think a cruise would be a great thing. Also, we were planning on the Disney trip being including all the grandparents. And then my dad actually ended up having multiple back surgeries, and my father in law just had a total knee replacement. And so the walking thing just was not going to happen. And
No.
so the cruise felt much more doable for everybody involved.
My guest, Erin, on episode 9 had said Disney, kind of like you said about going on a trip with your kids. It's a trip, not a vacation. She
Mm-hmm.
said going to Disney World is a trip and going on a Disney cruise is a vacation because it is just all set up for you. You don't have to lift a finger. I actually have a little secret to share, and I have to say it quietly because I have a child home today because it's summer, but we have officially booked our first Disney cruise. And we're so pumped for October, and it would be on the Wish. So I have a million questions, but in the same vein, I was just like, I need something that's nice and that I can show up to. And I don't really have to do that much. I was actually making food the other night and I was like, I can't wait to be on that cruise ship. And everybody just goes to eat where they tell us to eat.
It's really magical, and that absolutely. So to me, again, because my kids are 4.5 and 6, I will still say it still felt like a trip. But
Yeah,
if
because
your
you have
kids are
littles.
Yes, but if your kids are older, I would say probably maybe 6 and 8 or 8 and 10, 100%. I do feel like it could be a vacation for the parents. But we
Yes.
can get into why
We'll
that
get
is
into
for my
all that
family.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
absolutely.
So you said grandparents might have been involved. So who all went on this trip?
My father-in-law and his partner went. It was supposed to again be my dad and then his wife, but because of his back surgeries, he decided to bow out. So it was my family of four and then my father-in-law and his partner.
And were you specifically hoping to take a cruise on the new Disney Wish ship, or was that just the ship that happened to fit your dates?
So we did want the Wish. I wanted to see it while it was still kind of shiny and new. And so we had heard great things. We had several friends that have gone, and they all were like, this is really amazing. You're going to love it. We did have friends that did the 3 night, and they said it was just too fast. They like blinked and then they were on and off again. So they all encouraged us to do the 4 night cruise. So that's what we did. So we boarded on a Monday, like mid morning, and we left Friday morning. So it was a full work week, if you will.
That's exactly what we have booked.
Mhm.
For people that don't know all the Disney Cruise Line ships, the Disney Wish at the time was the newest of the Disney Cruise Line ships. The one built before that was called the Fantasy, and that was back in 2012. So Disney hadn't released a new cruise ship in a while. Now people still love all the Disney cruise ships, and everybody has so many good things to say about all of them. But Disney Wish was the newest, and now they just released, is it the Treasure? Is that the newest one that is
I
coming
I
out?
do think I was looking
Yeah.
it up a few weeks ago, but like you said, we're now in summer and my mind is kind of mush with summer
Yeah.
camp and all the logistics, but I do think it is called the
I think the
Treasure.
Disney Treasure is going to be the sister ship to the Disney Wish. So it's built
Yes.
the exact same, but it's more of an adventure feel like Pirates and Moana and that kind of theming. Okay, let's talk about booking the cruise. It can be a bit of sticker shock, probably not as much sticker shock as trying to get to Disney World and doing all those
Right.
things. But tell us about booking it. And did you go straight through Disney or did you use a third party like Costco?
So I actually used our Disney travel planner. She is absolutely fantastic. I feel very much like anything Disney, you need a PhD and things change so fast. And so one of my good friends, we actually used to teach together and now have moved on into different fields. But she's a certified Disney planner. And so we went straight through her. I told her around what we wanted to spend, how many days we wanted to go, the dates that we wanted. We actually went my kids are in year-round school, so we track out. We are on 9 weeks, out 3 weeks, and we went 1 week before track out, which was basically the week before spring break, and it saved us $2,500.
Amazing.
So that made a huge difference. We ended up spending around $5,700. We had a deluxe veranda room, so we had a balcony. My husband and I had the king bed. There's a little curtain that divides the room. The little sofa turns into a single bed. And then my kids absolutely fought over literally the bed that comes from the ceiling. So every other night they switched on and off, but they loved it. I will say, you don't spend very much time in the room. I wanted the balcony to have a little bit of extra space of like, okay, let's go outside to do your hair, or let's go outside to do sunscreen, that kind of thing. I would not take a smaller room. What I really liked is that the toilet is completely separate from the bathroom. So you have a little room with a toilet and a sink, and then you have another room that has a sink and like the tub shower combination. So my kids are old enough to where they're either showering on their own or we can help shower them. But if you needed to give a little, like a little kiddo, like a little bath, you totally could in this little shower tub combination, which I think is really important because most of us are traveling with kids. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that people love that split bathroom. And for us, so we booked a very similar room, probably the exact same room, honestly. And to have that split bathroom, so like someone can be using the bathroom and then someone can be showering, and the two
Exactly.
sinks with mirrors getting ready in two different bathrooms. I just
Yes,
feel like that will help us out a lot as a family of five in one of those rooms.
absolutely.
So this 4 night cruise, it goes to Nassau in the Bahamas and Castaway Cay, and then there's 1 day at sea. And I'm assuming you boarded out of Port Canaveral, the
We
Orlando port.
We did. So we flew Southwest directly from Raleigh into Orlando. I told our planner, I was like, I don't want to bring anything. I don't want to bring car seats. I don't want to bring anything that's going to make this feel like more of a heavy lift. And so we actually stayed at the Hyatt Regency in Orlando. We flew in the day before. I'm a little bit of a control freak. So, try to mitigate any kind of problems. So we flew in the day before, and you literally walk through the airport and your hotel is right there. You don't even have to leave. And I will say, as far as hotels go that are attached to airports, this is the best I've ever been to. I
Okay,
mean,
that is
it,
good to hear because I'm always in that airport for dance competitions for my oldest. And I always see all those rooms surrounding
yes,
the like central lobby. And I always wonder, how are those rooms? Because it is extremely convenient.
it is so convenient, and they were fantastic. I would stay there again, and that's saying a lot. Literally the best airport hotel I've been to for sure. Everything was super clean. We had one room with queen beds. And what's really nice is in the morning we got up and you have all these different options of the food court. So we got, our coffee at Dunkin', we got the kids' breakfast somewhere else, we got the grandparents' breakfast over here. I
It's
mean,
perfect.
everybody got what they needed. We didn't have to leave. We didn't have to worry about transportation or Ubers or shuttles or anything like that. And it really was super seamless. And because we stayed there, they actually have a partnership with Disney. So in the morning, we went down to whatever their lobby floor is, and we checked in with Disney right there. We got our wristbands. We showed them our passports, did everything that we needed to. They gave us a time to come back down to the lobby. And of course, it's Disney. So they were like, I don't remember, maybe we were Tinkerbell. They were like, you're in the Tinkerbell group. So come back at this time and look for the
Yeah, it's like
Tinkerbell
not group
sign.
4, it's group Tinkerbell.
It's exactly. And literally, you have the Disney, all the people are wearing their Disney outfits. So they're really easy to spot in comparison to like, regular hotel staff. And we went back down during the assigned time, got in line, and then they took us straight to the charter bus. and we loaded up, and within 30 minutes we were at the port. I mean, it could not have been easier. It made me think that, if Disney were running the world, it would just obviously be a more magical place, because it was
Yes.
so organized, so seamless, great communication. It really helped take the stress off of the situation of like, where do we need to be? Where do we need to go? How long is it? I mean, they handled everything, and we never had to leave the airport. I mean, it was amazing.
I love that tip for especially first time Disney cruisers to just stay at that hotel. You're there, you've made it, and then the next day they handle it all for you and you're on your way.
Exactly. Yeah, it was one of those like nice and brainless situations, which I appreciated.
Yeah, we all need that.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk embarkation day. That's what cruisers call the day you board the ship and you embark onto your journey. So I know boarding groups is a big thing. If you've cruised a lot or if you have some sort of Disney cruise status, you get earlier ones, which allow you to get on the ship earlier. I don't know much about the boarding group thing or how you even get them. So do you remember the boarding group you were assigned and around what time you headed towards to embark?
Yeah. So fun fact, because we stayed at that Hyatt Regency and they have that partnership, we actually were one of the first boarding groups. So
Oh my
that
gosh,
was a
that's so
perk. We
great.
were we were literally eating lunch by noon, right? We were on the ship super early, got to explore. Again, it was a seamless process, highly recommend. And it felt like we had early access for sure.
Awesome. Okay, so tell us about boarding the ship. I've heard they take your luggage and you're able to just walk on kind of hands free. So tell us about boarding and the first impressions of like getting on the ship.
Yeah, so you get off, we got off of the shuttle bus, go in through the terminal. We don't have luggage at that point anymore. They take care of everything. And you get into a little bit of a line, again, kind of a check-in. They don't want you to bring on um like open containers and things like that. So just be prepared. You still have your passports and things with you. You go into basically like a lobby where they have a huge model of the Disney Wish, which the kids love. You can use the restroom. And then again, you wait for them to call you. So once you actually get your group called, you go into the ship, and they ask you for your name. And so we, of course, told him we're the Norwoods. And then you kind of wait. And then literally they announce you as if you're royalty. And so the characters are there greeting you. It really feels like an instant royal experience. And our kids were just like, do they just call our names? What's going on? And I was like, yeah, they know we're here. And it's so exciting. And you enter in on the main floor, which is where there's a huge two-tiered stage, and it just feels grand. You can instantly see the ship is going to be beautiful. And you come in and the kids get a little magic wand, and you can go into like the main stage area. And then that's where they will end up doing like a big welcome for all the families. And so you can just tell instantly as soon as you step on and they announce your name, like, wow, this is going to be a great experience. The ship is absolutely stunning. If you haven't looked it up online, obviously go and do that. But it is not this kitschy Disney bright color. Like, that is not what you're going to see. It is absolutely glamorous, and it is a gorgeous ship. I mean, that's all I can say. It is really truly magical and feels very adult, but also kid like, right? Like, you can see in the tiles, they'll have, the scenes from Cinderella or any of the other Disney movies, or in the carpets on the walls with the tile, but it is so perfectly done. You don't feel like you're at a theme park. You literally feel like you're in a five-star resort. It's absolutely beautiful.
You're getting me so excited to see this in
You
person.
should
I
be,
just
yes.
have to say. So after the initial welcome and they announce you and you watch the little show and they send you on your way, where did you go next? Because I know that typically you can't go to your rooms because they're not ready yet because they're actually still cleaning them from the people
Yeah.
that just got off the ship before you boarded. So a lot of people will go find a place to have lunch or go set up at the pool. So where did you guys head to first?
We went to sign our kids up for Kids Club. So again, we have a 4.5 and a 6-year-old. So they get wristbands that stay on them for the entire time. And so we did that. We kind of toured the Kids Club, gave them their own little tour, make sure that they knew, what it's going to look like and what they can expect. And then we did go upstairs for lunch. At that point, they only have the buffet open, so they don't have the other restaurants open. We looked at all the pools, the water slides. Of course, they already have a movie playing on the big screen in front of the pools. And so we just kind of toured like, hey, where are we going to want to set up later? Now, one thing that I will say is we did already have our bathing suits on. We had like a bag with, sunscreen, goggles, things like that. So because we knew that we wouldn't be able to get into the rooms until later in the afternoon, but we didn't want the kids to miss out on swim and play time, we were ready to go. So we had a change of clothes for them. They were wearing their bathing suits and cover ups. And I think that is the way to go to maximize that time before you can get into the room.
You said they get wristbands. So I know I've seen a lot of people say that you can buy Magic Band Pluses that work throughout the ship. We don't own Magic Band Pluses. We own the old school ones for various reasons. So did you buy Magic Band Pluses, or were you able to just use your key card around your lanyard and that's how you got around and access the ship?
Yep. So we did not buy them for the kids. It was recommended by our travel agent. If we are planning on doing Disney, every single year, you might as well buy them. We are not going to be the Disney every year people. We are not Disney adult people. And so we decided to not do that. And you don't get charged for them unless you don't bring them back, I think, before midnight, before, the night before you disembark. So for us, it just wasn't worth it. So we just went with the free ones. They pretty much look exactly the same, except
So
they're
they give you, the kids get them at the kids club and then you give them
exactly.
back.
Yep, exactly. And as
Perfect.
adults, we just carried our key cards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
I always
And
have some sort of a little, uh, bag or something with me. And so we just put them in there. You don't have to like wear them around your neck or on your wrist or anything like that.
right. Okay. And one other tip that I've seen just in my research is that if you're a first time cruiser, you don't get a lanyard. But if you're like a second time, third time, as you go up, you get like different lanyards. That's one way of Disney's. They can like show who has been like a loyal cruiser and whatnot. So I did find like a cute pack of like 6 different colored lanyards on Amazon. I'll link it just because that's what we're going to do. Because my olders are going to be running around by themselves. I just know it. And I do not trust them keeping that kind of stuff. Maybe they'll have their own little magic bands, like you said, but I am going to order like a lanyard pack for our family just to like have easy access to those cards.
Yeah. If they do go to the kids club, they will get a wristband regardless. And then depending on what age they are, they'll actually put a little lock on the wristband so that it doesn't come off.
Fall off.
And so it just, for me, it felt like an extra measure of safety, right? Because anybody could scan the wristband at any time. If for some reason, heaven forbid, one of them, got lost, they would instantly be able to say, hey, these people belong to these people and let's go find them. So for me, it felt like a nice little safety thing.
Perfect. That's great to know that they get them and we don't have to
Yeah.
worry about buying them.
Yep.
Okay. Once your room was ready, tell us about your first impressions of the stateroom you booked.
Yeah. So I really, again, it's not the size of a regular hotel room. They are still pretty small, even though we had one of the larger ones. I will say it was beautiful. It was clean. The behind what was our king bed, we had like a beautiful scene of, I think it was like a Princess and the Frog. So again, Disney, but in like the classiest way. The beds are raised really high off the ground. So we had big luggage. We only brought 2 big suitcases. My husband packed his and one of the kids, and I packed mine and one of the kids. And so they were pretty large and they fit underneath the beds super easy. So underneath the bed storage is great to just kind of get everything out of the walking path. Again, the sofa that's in the room turns into a bed for one of the kids. And then the second bed comes out of the ceiling and you don't have to do anything with it. So when you get your turn down, your cabin steward will take care of that for you every single night. So, you get back from dinner and the show, and then your room is like dimly lit and the beds are, nicely turned down and the bed from the ceiling and the ladder are all done for you. I will say, and I don't want to gatekeep this, but if you see your cabin steward like right away when you get to your room, we're fan people. So we asked for a fan and we got that. And then you can also ask them for character sheets. And it's not a guarantee, but the second night at Turn Down, we got character sheets. So my son got like the superhero ones, and my daughter got the Minnie Mouse ones. And you would have thought that they just won $10 million a piece when they came in, and they were so excited to see their special sheets. And it was the cutest thing. And it just, again, shows how they go above and beyond. It was just adorable. So
Oh my
ask your
gosh, that is such a
steward.
cute tip. I've never heard about character sheets.
Yeah. And I got that from our Disney planner, because she does Disney all the time. And she was like, make sure you ask. So
How
definitely do
cute.
that. I will also say the walls are magnetic, which if you, Google any kind of cruise ship, you'll probably find that tip. So we got some magnets off of Amazon, and they make a huge difference. Like I didn't want anything on the floor. I wanted everything kind of tucked away. You don't have a ton of floor space to walk. So you don't want bags and shoes and all of that cluttering the little bit of space you do have to walk around. So anything that needed to be put up was either put in the closets, which were a great size, under the bed, or on the magnetic wall hooks. So highly recommend those as well. I would also say, we always try to not overpack and still tend to overpack, but you're probably going to be living in a bathing suit and a cover up until dinner time. So unless you're one of those people that's like, I need to be in my resort wear while sitting by the pool with my kids, I'm not that person. I'm in my cover up, with my bathing suit on next to the pool with my kids. Limit what you're bringing, and then, bring one nice outfit for dinner. It's not a formal cruise. So unless you really want to, you do not need to bring anything formal. Regular kind of summery dresses and sandals, flip-flops are totally fine. Unless you're doing one of the specialty restaurants, you don't have a dress code really, aside from like maybe don't show up in your bathing suit or not wear a tank top. But like some places we've gone, men have to wear long pants or collared shirt. None of that applies to the standard dinner reservations. So it's really casual. It's really nice.
Perfect. Good to know. And what deck were you on?
We were on deck 8. So I wanted to be higher up because the lower you go, the higher your risk for, motion sickness. So we were on deck 8, which I think was perfect. We were also mid deck. So we were basically right by the stairs and right by the elevator. We did not feel the ship move barely any time, which I thought was great. So that's something that I would rebook is that mid deck 8 position. I thought it was perfect for us.
Okay, great. Okay, so once you got organized in your stateroom, was it about time to head to dinner, or did you have time to do some other stuff before dinner time?
Yeah, so it was not quite dinner time. I want to say our room was ready around 3, maybe 4. So we still had a little bit of time. We did do the early dinner, which was, I believe, 5:30,
I think it's
5:45.
5:45.
Yeah, that sounds right. 5:45. And then the shows start at 8:30. So that was perfect. Our youngest, he never made it through a single show. We're pretty regimented during the school year, which doesn't bode well for things like this, where it's like, hey, you can stay up and you can have a good time. It's like their bodies are just like, nope, I'm ready for bed. So 5:45 dinner and then 8:30 show. So we still just walked around the ship, explored some of the other areas. There's really so much to see. And so we just wanted to get acclimated with, where do we want to get coffee in the morning, and where is dinner going to be tonight? And so we just walked around and explored a little bit more and then got ready for dinner.
Awesome. So for listeners who haven't been on a Disney cruise, there are 2 dining times. It's called early or late dining. The early is 5:45 and the late, I believe, is 8:30, 7:30,
8:30.
8:30. We're
8:30. It's
currently
late.
on the late one because we booked so late. We didn't have a choice. So another tip, book early so that you get your choice. Now we are on the wait list for the early one, but I don't know. My kids might be fine, eating late. And I have heard some people actually who have older kids prefer the late because you can spend so much more time like at the pools or on the ship and then get ready much later. But yeah, basically if you have the 5:45 dinner time, then you go to the 8:30 show. If you have the 8:30 dinner time, you go to an earlier show at 5:45. So they just kind of flip-flop you. Um, and you get rotated between 3 themed dinner restaurants. Each night they assign you and they tell you where you're going to be eating. On a 4-night cruise, you just repeat one of the restaurants once. The 3 restaurants are 1923, which is named for the year Walt Disney Company was founded, and it kind of celebrates the golden age of animation, has a lot of historic memorabilia, and is kind of like a fancy old-timey restaurant. Then there's Marvel, which they call a cinematic dining experience because there's some superhero storytelling on screens and around the restaurant featuring Ant-Man, the Wasp, and other superheroes. I have recently seen that Spider-Man comes out sometimes. And then finally, there's Arendelle, which is a crowd favorite, a Frozen themed theatrical dining experience with a live show. And it just kind of feels like you're in Arendelle. So, where did you guys go to dinner first?
So Arendelle was our first dinner night. It was so precious. I will say, I mean, my daughter loves Frozen. I don't know that I've actually watched Frozen from start to finish.
Because
However,
you use it to get things done while she's watching it
literally,
from start to finish.
see, exactly.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, you go watch and I'll go get stuff done.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So it's so cute. So I will say, one thing that you said about the dining times, we booked our cruise probably 15 or 16 months in advance. So we had a lot of time to say, we want this stateroom, we want this dinner. And then again, because we booked with our expert, she literally placed us in the dining rooms where she knew we would have the best experience. So when I tell you Elsa and Olaf and all the characters, literally, I mean, we could reach out and touch them. We fist bumped, we high five. We were always on the outside where the characters were. That is huge because if you're kind of tucked back, right, and you have littles that maybe aren't tall enough and can't see, not saying that they can't come into the aisles, all the kids did, and it was very well received. Nobody was like, you need to go back to your seat or anything like that. But it was just nice to literally be sitting there having dinner and everything is happening right in front of you. In the Avengers dining room, same thing. Like my son, I have a super cute picture of him fist bumping Spider-Man when he comes down and he like stopped at our table and talked to us. And I think that makes a difference. So the sooner you can book, the better. That's what I will say. Arendelle, from the moment you walk in, you're kind of transported into, into Arendelle, right? Like everything, it's kind of wooden and you really see the scenes from the movie, even when you're standing in line before you even get seated. Then there's a main stage where you'll see Elsa and Anna and Olaf and everybody singing and dancing. And it feels like a very intimate experience. That is also the time where your servers who stay with you the entire time, regardless of the restaurant, they start to get to know you, which is really nice. So they'll ask you about your kids, what they want to drink, what kind of food they like. And then the next time you come to dinner, they already have, their apple juice or their Shirley Temple or whatever it is that
Yeah,
they
that
have
is
the
a
night
super
before.
cute tip that I want to make sure people understand. So,
Yeah.
when you move restaurants each night, your service team goes with you. So, you see your same servers every single night and develop this relationship with. And most people are like sad to leave them at the end because they get to know them.
I mean, my daughter cried. Now I will say
Oh,
she's an empath and highly emotional. But she really did. She was like, I don't want to leave. I mean, and again, when we got home, we opened the door and she had another breakdown. And she was like, I want to be back on the Disney cruise. She was like, it had everything I love and need. I mean, she to this day, we're now in June, we sailed in March. I mean, once a week, she's like, when do we get to go back? Because it was perfect. I
oh,
mean,
that's so
so money well
great.
spent. Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Do you remember any of the food that you enjoyed at Arendelle?
So, one thing to preface is I have a gluten and wheat allergy. And so, for anybody listening that has food allergies, they are beyond accommodating. You will have a separate menu. I don't have celiac, so I'm not super concerned about cross contamination. They treated me as if I had celiac. They were taking no risks, which at some points I was like, no, it's fine. I really can
Yeah.
just have this
I'll try
burger
the
without the bun.
potatoes. Yeah.
Yeah. And they were like, no. So, and I did talk to a couple of other people that, did have celiac or did have other severe food allergies. And they also said they were highly accommodated with either gluten or dairy free. So there are options. So I did eat off of a separate menu compared to my family. But everything was great, honestly. I mean, and what's really nice about a cruise, especially if you're a first time cruiser, if there's more than one thing on the menu that you want to try it. If there's 3 appetizers that you want to try, ask for the 3 appetizers. You've already paid for it. They're happy to bring them to you. And, aside from it being wasteful, which always makes me cringe a little bit. But aside from that, if you don't want to eat something, don't eat it. Just order something else. So you really can, explore or try things that you maybe normally wouldn't or wouldn't want to pay for. It's already
Yes.
there. This is your time to really just get in there and explore. So I will say, all of the other meals looked really delicious. My kids, who are really picky, they ate every night. I don't know if it was the Arendelle and Avengers like atmosphere, but my daughter was eating the little vegetables that they brought every night. I mean, literally cauliflower. She was eating it. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to make a big deal about this, but this is amazing. This is literally the magic of
The
Disney,
Disney
right? Like,
magic.
she's eating her broccoli and her green beans and her cauliflower every night. Like, I'll take it. Um, yeah, so the food was great. I think on the last night I had like a tuna fillet that was delicious. And I mean, no complaints, honestly. I've been on several cruises in the past, and I would say that this is definitely the best cruise food that I've had. And I am a foodie, whereas my husband eats the same five things every day and like weighs out his coffee creamer. He's that kind of a person. He didn't have any complaints, and me as a foodie with an allergy, I was very well taken care of and had no complaints. You will not go hungry.
I think the all-inclusive food part is something that I'm looking the most forward to as a family of five with three kids and now some older kids because like they like to order a filet mignon or whatever.
Oh,
And that can be really tough because you're like, I'm so glad you're a good eater, but oh my
but
gosh, this is expensive. So I'm
yes,
gonna be like, order the filet, order the burger, order whatever you want, order
yes.
both. It's gonna be
And you're
so
not going to go hungry because, so I will say in the mornings we ate at 1923, which I loved. I just thought it was beautiful and old timey. And it just, here again, here's my thing. If I'm going to spend that much on a vacation, I want you to serve me as much as possible. So I wanted a sit down breakfast every morning. I didn't want
So
to
the
stand in
breakfast, you
line.
don't have to go to the buffet. You
You do
can go
not.
to a restaurant.
You can go to a restaurant, and you'll still get a lot of the same things that you find upstairs. So my kids had the super cute Mickey waffles every morning with the strawberry cream, and they didn't miss out on any of that. Now, if you do go upstairs for breakfast, or even on the last day when you de-embark, and you get your breakfast, it's set up like a buffet, and they have two lines, so it doesn't really feel crowded. But they actually have a mini counter for kids to order, which is so cute. And we're all about like teaching our kids independence and, go and ask, use your voice. And so they have like a mini counter that's low to the ground, and they get to, ask for what they want. And do you want one waffle or two or sausage or bacon, whatever it is, which I just think is, again, so Disney and it's so precious. But in the morning, like if I'm on vacation or on a trip, I want somebody to bring me my food. I want to sit down and have my coffee. So we did sit for breakfast every morning with the kids. It was totally fine. I got an omelet every morning. My husband, did like stuffed French toast. And I mean, again, you're gonna have endless possibilities, but it's beautiful. You sit next to, the huge porthole and you have the view of the ocean, and you can sit in peace with a white tablecloth and have a beautiful breakfast every morning. So we did that every morning. Then for lunch, we just ate upstairs. We didn't do any of the specialty restaurants. Again, my husband isn't a foodie, so it's kind of wasted on him.
And it's by
But
the pool deck, right?
it's
It's called Festival of Foods, I think, and there's like five little counters of different
it's a
choices.
ton of food. Yeah. So they have like almost like a Moe's, right? Where it's like you can get your Mexican, your tacos or your bowls. They, of course, have pizza. They'll have your traditional hot dogs, hamburgers, French fries. There's another section in the back that's like kind of like fair food, elevated fair food. So they had like collards, mac and cheese, cornbread, ribs, that kind of food. And again, with my allergy, I was very accommodated every single time. But the food, even upstairs, was really delicious. Like I had the Mexican, I had the burgers. My daughter ate a hot dog every single day. 4 times a day, they had the soft serve ice cream, which why not?
Yeah.
You're on vacation. You go get your ice cream 4 times a day. Totally fine with me. And it really was very delicious. And one of the other things that I'll say, having cruised on other cruise lines, is when you have that many people kind of running around and kids coming in and out of the pool and then eating. And I did not see a French fry on the floor. Like it was spotless. The bathrooms, spotless. The floor, spotless. Every single, place where you could get your own drinks, for example, wiped down. There was no spills. There was nothing. I mean, I was so impressed. I'm a very like anal type A person. It was clean. We did bring our own water bottles. One thing that's really cool about the Disney cruise is you don't have to buy like a soda package. We're not big soda drinkers, but my kids on vacation love like a lemonade. And so they have juices, they do have sodas, tea, like Powerade and things like that. Of course, water and ice. And then they have like a coffee and tea station. And we always bring, our cups and our bottles. So the kids always had ice and water or ice and lemonade that we just could refill. We would go upstairs after the show, get our water for the night, and bring that back downstairs to the room. So all of that was just really fantastic.
Okay, speaking of the shows, you said sometimes your little guy wouldn't make it all the way through, but how were the shows? Did you actually get to all of them?
We went to every single show. They are spectacular, Broadway quality. I think there was the first night must have been a, kind of Disney spectacular. That was just so fun, so awesome. They did The Little Mermaid, absolutely beautiful. And then Aladdin has always been one of my favorite movies. And so the last night was Aladdin, and it was, I mean, just so well done, so beautiful, so artistic. The singers were amazing. I mean, you're going to be blown away. So the theater is beautiful. It's two-tiered. I would recommend getting there early. They tell you not to reserve seats. Obviously, people do. My son would fall asleep, but we stayed through the full shows because we wanted to see them and they really were fantastic.
Perfect. And I don't want to spoil anything, but I have heard that in The Little Mermaid and Aladdin, they kind of do a little bit of a story shift where maybe the guy doesn't save the day every single time at the end, the prince. And so a lot of people appreciate that. It's not like you're just going to see the standard Little Mermaid story that we all know. There's a bit of a fun twist.
Yes, I won't spoil it, but it is not exactly how it is in the movies that we have seen in the past, which helps keep your attention, which I thought was really interesting that they did that. So it's fun. And the genie in Aladdin is hysterical and weaves in some jokes that are very like now, and it's great. I mean, you would just have the adults laughing because they do such a good job of doing some like higher tier jokes that maybe will go over the kids' heads, but all the adults catch. So there's a lot of moments like that, especially in Aladdin, that I thought were just very well timed and just really hysterical.
Fun. I can't wait for those. Okay, on day
Yeah.
2, I believe you wake up in Nassau, and people seem to be split on if they stay on the boat to explore the ship more in Nassau or if they get off the boat on the Nassau day. So, what did your group decide to do?
So we were the stay on the boat group. So I will say I've been to Nassau several times. And I think if it was like a girls' trip or something, then yes, get off the boat, maybe do a day at Bahamas or get a day pass to Atlantis, something like that. Go swim with the dolphins. For me, with the family and my son not being 48 inches tall, I think we were limited on what kind of excursions we could do. And then I didn't want to just like trek down or get in the taxi to then go to another beach. And one thing that they do really well is that if you do stay on the boat, they actually have different activities that are not available during sailing days. So you get kind of a new vibe of like different activities. They've got this inflatable like obstacle course
Like the
on.
Incredibles, Incredicourse or
Yes,
something. Yeah.
exactly. And that's not up all the time. And so, you can take advantage of those things. They had a lot of craft activities that my daughter, who's really artsy fartsy, really enjoyed. And so, honestly, if there's a pool, my kids are fine. And so, what was really great is that the the ship felt, I wouldn't say it felt empty, but we were able, for example, to get on Mighty Mouse literally just back to back to back to back
Yeah. The big
without.
coaster kind of water ride that goes around the top.
Yes. Yeah, and my daughter loved it. And so we would literally go down Mighty Mouse and get right back in line. And within, 5 minutes, we'd be back on. And so that's something that for us was worth it, right? Because on regular sailing days, the line for Mighty Mouse, even though it went quickly, was very long. And so we took full advantage of the pools not being as full, Mighty Mouse not being as full, doing some of the arts and crafts. So we had a great time. And my kids honestly had no idea that was even a day to get off the ship and that there was another option. And it was totally great for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're like conflicted, but I do think since my kids are older and things like Atlantis are so iconic and they've never been
Yeah.
to the Bahamas and they're just going to get their passports that I want to take them off the ship. And I did
Mhm.
want to share this one fun hack because we used it when I was in high school and I've been doing a lot of research and it still exists, still works. So there is a hotel, the Comfort Suites, Paradise Island, which is right next to the Atlantis. If you stay at the Comfort Suites, you get full access to the Atlantis Water Park. We did this in high school. We stayed at the Comfort Suites. A bunch of people in my high school did it, and we spent all day at the Atlantis Water Park. This is like a cruise hack. You can see it all over Reddit. It still works. You can
Wow.
book a room at the Comfort Suites, even though you're not going to use it, because like as of a few days ago, the room was like 300 or 400 bucks. But through Disney and through Atlantis, the day pass is way more expensive. It's almost like shocking. I can't remember. It's like 250 a person or something through Disney to take that day trip over to Atlantis. So it's a little bit more of an excursion because you're going to have to cab over to the Comfort Suites and then you can walk from there to Atlantis. But they said Comfort Suites loves it because they don't have to clean another room. So you walk up, you say, I'm checking in for the day. And we'd like our wristbands. You get 4 wristbands per check in. So for our family, we'd still have to get one more wristband somewhere, maybe through Disney. But then you head over to the Comfort Suite or to Atlantis and you have all day to explore there. And another fun thing is that through our Chase portal, our Chase travel portal, I have enough points to book that room. So we would just get Atlantis basically for free at that point. So that's just a really fun hack for people that are considering that Atlantis stay and don't want to spend the Disney price to get you in.
That is amazing. And I've never heard that. And I literally just wrote it down because that would be worth it. And you're right. The Atlantis and the Baha Mar day passes, which one quick call out, they're not, especially for Baha Mar, they're not available throughout the year. So they're only available in certain months. So if you, I mean, that Comfort Suites deal, that sounds perfect because even Baha Mar, I think, is like 250 a person. So then you're spending, I mean, for a family of 4 or 5, I mean, $1,000+ to go to a water park, no
Right.
thanks.
Right.
But if you can hack it this way, then that's amazing.
And some people even said that they would actually check into the Comfort Suites room because if someone was like super tall, they were like, they love taking a shower in a big bathroom and then like having that room for the day to drop all their stuff. And I was like, that's pretty cool.
That is so smart. Absolutely. And that would be, again, my son is not tall enough for most of the rides and things like that, but definitely something to look into. My girlfriends and I took a cruise and did a day at Baha Mar. So if you're looking for like that luxurious experience, absolutely look at Baha Mar. It is beautiful. They have a water park, great beach.
Did your kids hit up the kids club at all on this Nassau day?
So this is where, the trip versus vacation comes in because I have friends whose kids literally lived at the kids club and then they got to live their best lives. My kids did not live at at the kids club. So my daughter did go. It took her a little bit of time to warm up to it. Now, what I will say is it is beautiful. It is amazing. In my head, I was like, why would you not want to spend 12 hours a day here? From the main floor, you can actually slide in after you've checked in the first time. So there's an attendant at the top of the slide and an attendant at the bottom of the slide. And so you would see, again, maybe a little bit of the older kids just be like, bye, mom. And they would scan their wristbands at the top of the slide down, and then they're in the kids club until you sign them out. It is, again, totally magical. They have these hand washing machines that I feel like need to just be implemented everywhere where you just it's like a basin and you stick your hand in and the water just starts and kind of swirls around you. So you just automatically feel like, okay, maybe we're lessening the germs a little bit. The staff is really incredible. You have all these different sections. You can do science experiments, art. The characters come down there for story time, for dance parties. They play games. There's again, I don't watch all the Disney movies, but there's maybe it's an Avengers type of room. It's one of the superhero type rooms where you can literally scan your body and then show up on the screen and start like fighting villains. And of course, that section was very heavily occupied by the boys. They even have, kids areas for the littles, like 1 year and under. And so if you wanted to do a spa treatment or just go and have a nice lunch without your child, you can drop them off for as little as, 10 minutes or 10 hours. My son went twice for maybe 15 minutes. So
And
again,
at the time, how old was he again? 4?
he was right at 4.
Yeah.
So again, trip versus vacation. My daughter did start going like after dinner. If you have a kid who's like going to be totally excited about kids club, then you will have more of a vacation than a trip. We did go ahead and reserve our next cruise. So if you're on the cruise, you can get one of the largest discounts ever, which is 10% off your next cruise if you put a $250 deposit down and you plan on sailing within the next 2 years. If you do that and then decide not to sail, you actually get your full money back. So there's literally no risk. And so we decided when he's 6, we'll sail again. So in 2026. And then my daughter will be right at 8. And I just feel like that would be honestly the perfect time to sail again.
Yeah, I've
Um,
read about booking your next cruise on the Disney cruise ship. And from everything I've read, everybody is like, there is no strings attached. This is not any sort of scam. Because so many times you'll be at like a resort and, they're like, oh, come in, let's talk to you about joining the blah, blah, blah club
mhm.
and the timeshare. And it all feels a little scammy. But
Yeah.
they're like, basically, you pay 250, you get 10% off, and then the 250 goes towards your cruise. So you're not even losing the 250. And if you decide not to cruise in the next 2 years, you actually get the 250 back. So it's kind of like, everybody's like, just do it. You have nothing to lose.
Yeah. And you don't have to actually book your next cruise.
Like
You're
pick the
just,
date. Yeah.
yeah, you don't have to pick your date or which ship you want to be on. You're really just committing to cruise with Disney again.
Right.
So even our travel agent said, this is the largest discount you'll get. I can't top this in any way. So if you feel like there is a chance that in the next 2 years you will want to cruise again, go ahead and put that deposit down because it's going to be the best quote unquote discount, right? And if you're spending, close to $6,000, that 10% makes a difference.
Right.
That could be your next excursion or, your room at the Comfort Suite. So,
Right. Exactly.
for us, it made sense. And so we went ahead and did that because we will cruise again and hopefully the kids club will be more utilized.
Do you remember where you ate the second night when you had stayed on the ship all day for dinner?
Yeah, so 1923 for the kids is not as fun, but I think for the adults gives you more of a fine dining experience. And again, the food was great. There was like a lot of singing and celebration for sure. And then the third night we did the Avengers, which was so fantastic. Again, Spider-Man came and you do have all these screens and things that light up. You're basically in like an immersive theater. And then there's this like thing on your table. I know I'm not using good words. There's this like light up thing on the table where it's like very interactive and they're like, okay, push the button. And then, your kids push the button and it lights up and the whole room goes dark. And you've got like these laser beams kind of shooting around. And I mean, the kids absolutely loved it. It was definitely like, I would say the most immersive dinner experience there was. And then, yeah, towards the end, Spider-Man came and saved the day and all of those things. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Okay, then on day 3, you wake up in Castaway Cay, which is Disney's private island. So, did you guys get off the ship this day?
We absolutely did. Our plan was have breakfast and then spend all day at the beach. Unfortunately, out of all the days, that was the one day that it was very overcast. There was like a light drizzle. It was windy. And so the kids didn't make it very long. We were probably off the ship by like 9:30, and we were back on, by like 2. The one thing that I'll call out is if your kids like playing in the sand, bring some sort of sand toys. Otherwise, you're going to get begged to stop at one of the stores where you're going to spend, an excessive amount of money on buckets and shovels. Um, we did not bring anything, and I wish that I would have, but my kids ended up finding other kids whose parents did bring a couple of things. My daughter's really into shelling, so there was lots of seashells, and so that took up a good portion of the time. The water for me was a little cold, but it's crystal clear. It's absolutely beautiful. You can like see the little fish swimming around. So everything was totally great. I really do wish we could have spent all day there. And you can because they will feed you lunch. I mean, it is just like being on the boat, even down to the ice cream, right? You can get your soft serve, your burgers, your hot dogs. It's more of that kind of beach food, but it is totally set up for anything you need. You could play volleyball, you can rent bikes, you can, rent kayaks and water, activity type things. So you could spend all day there and have the best time. Unfortunately, the weather just for us wasn't the best.
Yeah, that stinks. If we have good weather there, I'm looking forward to snorkeling because I love snorkeling. And I've
Yeah.
heard that there are these fun statues that are like buried like at Prince Eric and stuff from the movies is
Oh,
down in there,
perfect.
which I told my husband and he thinks that's so cheesy because he's very like natural, real snorkeling. And I'm like, hey, the kids will think it's
It's
cool
for
to
the
see Prince Eric
kids.
and Nemo swimming by him.
Absolutely.
One other fun thing about Castaway Cay is that there's a 5K. So it
Yeah.
used to be like an organized 5K that when you got off the ship, you all met at some point and then ran the 5K and got these medals. Now it's more of a do it on your own thing, but my husband's a big runner. And so I know he'll be missing his running. I know there's a gym and treadmills that he can use, but I think I'm going to encourage him to do it. You run the path and then you get this cute little medal at the end, which is kind of a fun keepsake. And maybe one of the kids will walk it, or maybe we could all walk it with him and see how it goes. But so that's something that I'm looking forward to as well.
Yes, we did see a lot of the runners. You're absolutely right. And the gym on board is beautiful. So if you do plan on, working out or getting your morning workout in, you will not be disappointed by the gym and the amenities that are there.
So then the last day is again an at sea day. So it's a day that you can just kind of explore the ship again. Did you guys do anything like the royal gathering meet and greets and character meet and greets and all that kind of stuff?
So my kids did not officially want to meet any of the characters,
We've been
but
there before. We've been there.
yeah. So we did not do any of the ones that you have to sign up for, but I will say they are everywhere. So they did still see them. They loved seeing them from a distance. Actually, we were kind of walking past one of the official meet and greets with the princesses, and my daughter just totally circumvented where they were getting ready to set up like here's where the line starts, and she had a full on, I mean, it felt like a 10-minute moment with Cinderella, and I captured it on video. I kind of felt bad because we didn't sign up and we didn't, it just wasn't planned, but she had the absolute best time and it was the sweetest moment. And I think had we said, hey, you're officially going to meet Cinderella, it would have never been that. But because it was just such a pure organic moment, she had the best interaction. The one thing that we did do that was official is we did the Bibbidi Boppity Boutique
Okay.
for our daughter, and it was the most precious thing you could ever imagine. We actually brought our own dress. We did not buy one there, which they allow, but it was so cute. She got to pick out what kind of hairstyle she wanted. She got to pick out her, I will say, very light makeup. They paint their nails, they do their hair, and literally transform you into a perfect princess. They actually will do a prince transformation too. So if you want to include your sons, they will do that as well and kind of slick their hair and do all the things. And it was just a super cute experience. So I'm glad that we did do that.
Yeah, you saying that about the boys reminded me. I think they'll also turn him into a pirate, which we haven't mentioned
Yes,
Pirate Night,
pirate
which is a big
night.
night, which has fireworks off. I know it's a little late. So did you guys make it to
We did
Pirate
not.
Night? Okay.
We did not make it to the fire. I heard great things and we did
Yeah.
hear them. I did peek because we had the veranda again. I did peek outside and you were able to see them. But our kids absolutely did not make it to the fireworks. But we did all dress up for Pirate Night. We had the absolute best time. It was so fun. We all leaned like really heavy into it. And I did not imagine that it would be so fun.
So you did
Um,
make it to like the Pirate Night, like fun show portion, but just not all the way to the fireworks.
Correct. Yeah. So
Got it.
we
Okay.
dressed up, we did all the things, we had the dance party. There was actually also a silent dance party, like a silent
Silent disco.
disco.
Yeah.
So fun. My kids had a blast. Like it was,
Fun.
I mean, the videos that I have of my kids like dancing with their big headphones on and in their pirate costumes was, I mean, it's just so fun to even look back at. And then we did, again, because we did the photo package, we did all the like pirate photo stations and just really great memories.
I know you had a stage five clinger the entire time, but did you guys explore at any point any of the adults only areas or the trivia or any of the adult bars or anything like that?
So we did do some of the adult bars. There's one bar across from the main stage, like in the lobby, that does really cute like martinis and cocktails, and they'll actually like almost like etch Disney characters and things onto the top of your drink.
I've heard the espresso martinis are quite good, and I love an
Top
espresso
notch.
martini. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yes. And I did like a chocolate martini, so along the same, length, and absolutely delicious and so cute. The first one, he put like a Marilyn Monroe on top, and it's just
Wow.
beautiful. I know, it's just, I mean, it helps, make the moment special. So those were all fantastic. We didn't actually get to do any of the trivias, but we did walk past them most nights, and those areas are again absolutely beautiful. I did tour the spa because when we first got there, I was thinking about doing a day pass. I think it's called a rainforest pass, and it's like
Yes.
$99, but then you basically have access to like the quiet areas, the steam room, sauna, that kind of thing. It was very, very pretty. I don't know that I would have enjoyed it as much as I would have hoped compared to some other spas that I've been to. So after I toured it, I don't feel like I missed out.
That's nice that you can tour it though and then make your decision.
Exactly. Now I will say it again, it's better to pre-book if you can, or to get the day passes. I've heard, by the moment you get on the ship, you need to go up to the spa and see if they have any available if you didn't pre-book them, because they do limit them, and they run out very quickly. One day I did go to like the adult only pool deck area. I thought that it was pretty small. The pool was very small, and then the hot tubs were always jam packed. I didn't go on the day where we were at port, like the Nassau day. So I don't know, maybe that would have been a better day for me to go. But the day that I did go, it felt very crowded to me, and I wasn't going to just like, make my way into the pool and be shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of other people.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Okay, well, it's so sad when a cruise has to come to an end, but let's talk about disembarkation day. So I believe you have to have your bags packed up and ready to go before you even go to breakfast. Is that right?
Yeah, so you can choose. So you
Okay.
have an option to put your bags out very early in the morning or late at night, and then have them taken care of for you. Or you can do an option of, hey, I'm going to take my own bag. So, for example, my father-in-law and his girlfriend, they had an earlier flight, and so they didn't want to risk it. Although they say if your flight is before or after 11 a.m., then you're totally fine. But if it's before then, they suggest that you take your own luggage. So they did the carry on or carry off your own luggage option. We, of course, did not. So we didn't have to schlep it through the ship to breakfast.
I think it's really sweet that Disney like sends you off with one last breakfast. I think they call it the see you real soon breakfast. They could totally
Yeah.
just say it's time to get off the ship. Bye. But they feed you one last meal. So did you guys go to your sit down or did you go up to the buffet for this last breakfast?
So we were planning on going to the sit down, but we were late. And so we did not end up getting to go to the sit down, which was sad because we wanted to see our servers one more time. So we didn't get to do that, but we did give them a nice goodbye and their tips and everything the night before. So we just went upstairs for breakfast, and it was, again, like a buffet line, but they had all the choices. It was not a diminished food line. You can have all the things: your sausage, your eggs, your pancakes, your Disney waffles, fruits,
Yeah,
yogurt,
I've heard the
cereals.
food at the buffet is lovely. And they
It's
say
so
even
great.
if you go for like I think it's even open maybe for lunch. And if you go way back, there's like seafood. And someone said it's like really good salmon and shrimp, and there's all these great choices.
They have everything from little charcuterie trays to tuna to, yeah, I mean, again, you will not go hungry. I mean, everything from pastas to steaks to stir fry, and I mean, the options really are endless.
Okay, so then after you guys disembarked, did you go straight back to the airport or did you stay in Orlando another day?
We went straight to the airport and went to our flights. So I
Okay.
do know that people will then tack on a day or two of Disney. Again, we've had friends that have done that, and they were like, do not recommend. It just becomes too much.
Yeah, I've heard if you add on a Disney day or two to do it before, because again,
Mm.
that's the trip. And then you get to take your vacation by getting on the cruise ship, but not to do it the other way around because you don't want to just add one more thing after you've already taken this cruise.
I think that's really good advice.
Okay, I end every episode with if someone out there is considering booking a Disney cruise, what is it about the Wish that would make you say, just book it?
Honestly, everything. I mean, they really treat you like royalty. It's beautiful, it's clean, the service is top notch. You don't have to lift a finger. The kids will have a blast. You get to see all the characters. You don't have to stand in long lines like you do at the parks. You still get to have, your day off the ship if you want. You have Castaway Cay, which is absolutely beautiful. We would absolutely get back on the Wish. It was a great first cruise and first like big trip experience for our family. So
Well,
just
you
don't
have,
don't hesitate. Just book early.
yeah, you've definitely gotten me excited for ours. So thank you so much for being here and for sharing all this information.
Absolutely. Such a pleasure. And I hope anybody that gets to travel on the Wish has a blast.
That wraps up another episode of Trip Tales. If you have a trip you'd like to share about on the podcast, email me at triptalespodcast@gmail.com and I'll add you to the schedule. Also, be sure to follow the show so that you don't miss any upcoming vacation destinations. And if you have an extra minute in your day, please leave a review for the podcast. It helps more than you could imagine. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next episode of Trip Tales. Hey guys, I wanted to quickly share about a cool way you can support the show. Travel content creating and podcasting is so fun. But as you travel lovers know, traveling can get expensive. While I may receive trades from time to time, the flights, the behind the scenes hours filming, editing, recording, and sharing are often unseen and unpaid. There is this super cool website called buymeacoffee.com that was created specifically as a way to support creators like me. Buying Me a Coffee is a quick and simple way to show your support for the Trip Tales podcast. And Lord knows this busy Mama 3 could use a coffee to keep me recording and sharing, and maybe help with the grocery bill as well. I'll also give a special shout out by name to anyone who buys me a coffee in the following week's episode. So if you love Trip Tales, I'll put the link in the show notes, or you can get there by visiting buymeacoffee.com/Kelsey Graves. Thank you for considering supporting the show.